Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us and participating in this community engagement session for the Troy Wynantskill feasibility study. I hope that everyone is safe and is be doing well following the Capital Region weather event. The purpose of our meeting this evening is to provide a clear and concise recap of the prior community engagement sessions held over the past 2.5 months as part of the feasibility study, as well as to focus our conversations this evening that will address transportation, food service, governance, and policy integrations as our final community engagement focus. I should note that if you have questions at any point in time, we will be happy to entertain those questions. We would ask for participants to please put them into the chat, which is being monitored by both the consultants, Dr. Schmidt and myself, as well as the IT staff from BOCES. If you have questions, please put them into the chat. And if you would like additional follow-up, please make sure that your contact information is available so that we can follow up with you individually or directly. Any new questions that have not previously been asked and answered, we will get those into the frequently asked questions document being maintained on the Questar BOCES website. And if you have specific individual questions that you would like follow-up to, you can always send them after the meeting at Troy, WUFSD feasibility @gmail.com. That is a separate dedicated email site for community members to engage confidentially, to have your questions or your concerns asked and answered. So let's jump right in. Just as a quick summary of our prior engagement sessions, our focus groups discussed multiple topics of concern as it relates to the feasibility work being undertaken by both districts. Those topics included facility planning, tax levy and tax financial implications, staffing concerns, as well as school choice. To summarize the previous statements and conversations that have been asked and answered by the district, I'm going to attempt to respond to them in a very neutral perspective, but these are issues that have been asked and resolved at this point in time. Those include the Gardner-Dickinson campus from a facilities perspective as well as instructionally. It will continue to remain as a pre-K-8 building, housing the students from Gardner-Dickinson and the Wynantskill community. This will also target and have the benefit of additional facility improvements, infrastructure upgrades, facility plant improvements, as well as sports, athletics, and co-curricular facility work being done. As discussed in previous sessions, this additional facility improvement work with a successful reorganization effort will be aided for approved state education department projects at 98% reimbursement. Any additional debt that Wynantskill has accumulated to this point in time with a reorganization effort will be eligible for recalculation and refinancing at that debt at the higher state ed approval, which is approximately 90%. With respect to finances and tax levy at the previous sessions, Mr. Carmelo and his staff, as well as Dr. Yotis, outlined the financial stresses of the Wynantskill community projected out to 2030. As a reminder, based on that work, plus the work of Dr. Rick Timms, there is a projected budget shortfall in the year 2030 of Wynantskill unless additional interventions occur, approaching $2 million of annual budget deficits. The tax levy implications of reorganization, Mr. Carmelo outlined with his staff a 10-year Troy historical budgeting perspective and has also indicated that with a successful reorganization will warrant a first year 2027-28 school year of a 5% tax levy reduction for all homeowners and residences in the community, as well as a projected 4-year post annexation, 0% tax increase as a minimum basement level of financial stability for the district. Troy also previously discussed at the community engagement sessions their financial investment into clubs, activities, and co-curriculars. And as a part of this evening's conversation, Mr. Carmelo and the Troy staff will highlight some of those issues. Previously, Dr. Yotis had identified some of the stressors and struggles that the district is experiencing in funding those programs due to the budget implications of the K-8 system. Additionally, there were conversations from stakeholders that were addressed in previous meetings about staff preservation and stakeholder programming. Mr. Carmelo has confirmed with a successful reorganization that all existing staff positions will remain and be funded. There was also a meeting recently with retirees where previous contractual obligations will continue to be honored at the time of the retiree separation from the Wynantskill community. Additional instructional operations will be part of this evening's conversation, as well as food service, transportation, and governance issues. And I will wrap up the summary with a statement that at the last session, there was substantial community input at the actual physical meeting, and also follow up with electronic communications via the survey and digital communications to the Troy WUFSD feasibility at gmail.com email with both suggestions, solutions, and commentary about school choice. And I suspect that that will be part of the conversation this evening. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Yotis, who is going to start with a brief overview of the existing transportation and other programs in the district. Dr. Yotis.
Thanks, Bob. And thanks everybody for being on tonight. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the transportation department, a little bit of history about it, and then a little bit about the cafeteria program, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Carmelo. So just transportation. Kyle, if you want to advance to the first slide, here's a photo of actually the first buses here, and I found this in the records room in the basement. Here is our photos from 1969 when the school first opened. On the right, you see last year our transportation department at Yankee Trails in the Santa Room. If you've ever been there, that's real fun. So we have a yearly gathering there. But the first slide really just talks about the history, the context. Wynantskill has been self-sufficient as far as we know. And again, the records going back 100 years, Wynantskill's always provided its own transportation. And for as far as anyone can remember, they provided transportation to the North Greenbush School District, North Greenbush, otherwise known as the Little Red Schoolhouse. So that's something that I'll get into on a further slide as well to tell you, what's the state with Little Red and the contract that we're working on right now with them. Currently, buses were housed and served at Molson's Garage on Main Avenue. They did a wonderful job and took care of our buses again, since anybody can remember the time the buses were housed at Molson's. In 2022, there was needs identified through an investigation with the North Greenbush Police, with some internal issues we had with misuse of district materials. We had a comptroller's audit. We really needed to fix some issues, which were a secure facility for the buses, materials. We needed to get into compliance with purchasing procedures, regulations. We needed to get in compliance with mandated record-keeping regulations. So a lot of work was being done on 2022, which was pretty drastic at the time, to find a place to store the buses, but maintain the buses. And so that was literally a year's work for what was going on in the district, and a lot of big changes. So the next slide, we really get into Yankee Trails. And this has been a difficult decision for the transportation department. We don't have enough land, right? There's not enough there's not enough space on our property to house the buses. We had 20 buses. Right now we have 18, but to house the buses, to maintain the buses, it's always been off-site. It's very it's very concerning. We looked for places. We found Yankee Trails was an amazing spot for us. They leased the land for the buses. We lease their land. They house the buses. They maintain the buses, repair, parts, materials, everything's included. We did a 5-year lease. It's been going wonderfully. That was for the repair, the maintenance. As you see down, I just put that was, $240,000, which is what we had in the budget at the time that we were going and paying through Molson. So Yankee Trails developed this contract with us, and it's been really working out. But, again, it's very hard, as we'll talk a little bit further when we talk about bus mandates, and we don't have the land, and how do we put, how do we take somebody else's property and put the infrastructure for the bus and the all the things that go with the electric buses. So that has been a struggle, but Yankee Trails has been wonderful to work with. Next slide, Kyle. There's the fleet of 18 buses. Again, that's a real picture that we found in the archives of 1969, a fleet of buses to our new GD campus. Right now, typically we had 18 buses. We're down, some of the runs, and just got rid of 2 older buses. So we have a fleet of 18 buses as of now. The next slide, transportation management. Michael Goyer has been our part-time head of transportation. Mike continues to ask to retire, and we don't let him go. He is a part-time basis. Rocco Mazzarello took the job 3 years ago as head of building ground, and he oversees some of the transportation. Yankee Trails, we just added the dispatch service. There's always been an issue, even when the buses were at Molson's, that there was no one overseeing the drivers, the dispatch. You're walking around with the radio. If somebody calls, that's always been an issue. So Yankee Trails newly added this dispatch service. We're paying $100,000 for that this year, for them to be on call 24/7 when the buses are out, to help Mike and Rocco oversee the day-to-day operation of the bus drivers. So that is new, working well. This is our first full year of the transportation management with Yankee Trails. The next slide shows how many schools we're moving to. And this is another challenge. And when we talk about high school choice and the drain that is on tuition, it's also a big drain on the transportation department. So as you see right here, we have 22 schools that our buses are going to every single day. And 22 is a good number, because I think last year and the year before it was 29. So this is the transportation that we're providing to our own high schools, plus our private schools, plus Little Red and their high school opportunities, and who they're sending to different private schools. So it's all done through Wynantskill. So 22 districts is a tremendous amount of a strain on the transportation department. The next slide just shows right now we have 11 daily routes and drivers. With our admin is another driver, and Mike Goyer is a driver when needed. Also substitute drivers, Rocco Mazzarello, Bob and Patty Rao, who retired last year, and Tim Barber, who's newly just got his license. He'll be another substitute for us. But I do want to give a shout out to Bob and Michelle and Mike and Karen and Joyce and Neil and Tracy and Gary and Sal and Bob C. and Allison and Bob Ziski. We have an amazing group of drivers, and they are extremely dedicated. And some are new to the district in the last couple of years, and some have over 40 years in the district. So we couldn't operate without them. And I am just internally grateful for all the work that they do to get our students safely to all of those 22 schools a day. So a shout out to them. This, just to note, we are down 1 driver it's extremely difficult to find drivers. We had 12 drivers and 12 routes. We have an ad out. We have not been able to find anybody. Mike Goyer worked on the routes. And again, we just stretch each driver a little bit more to do a little bit more to take one of those private schools on. So again, they're extremely flexible and I appreciate it. So we're operating with 11 routes and 11 drivers. And one of the big also shout outs to Troy City School District is they're taking one of our students, which was almost an entire run itself of a student going to Wildwood. So that is being right now handled through the Troy City School District. And that literally saved us being down a driver. That would have been very, very challenging. And for even I want to say maybe 7 weeks or so, sometimes we've had to, ask the parents to drive and we'll, pay for mileage. But it was a huge undertaking. And I thank Troy for that. The next slide. Here's just total costs. Just to give you a little bit of a framework, it's usually 1.1 1.2. Again, that new dispatch of Yankee Trails is not in this number, but the estimate is about 1.2 million a year for the transportation. And the thing, that I'm going to point out here is that, transportation is transportation. That's mandatory. That's what we have to do. I think I explained in a meeting coming recently that we just had a student that requires a medical transport. And for one student, that contract we just signed was $150,000 for this year for one student. So when things arise in transportation or a student moves in or another private run, like things are extremely tight. So that's just to give you a little bit of overview. Our transportation aid has ranged between 67 to 70%. Troy's at 90%. Again, I just point this out because, that difference in transportation aid would be huge. Just Troy running the transportation aid instead of Wynantskill. There'd be much more aid generated. The next slide. The transportation services to North Greenbush, and we've talked about this a lot. This came out publicly in our optimization study that Bob and Brian did for us last year. This is something that, again, as far as anybody can see, Wynantskill's always provided North Greenbush the transportation. So this has probably been a problem forever, but somehow it's on the forefront right now. A few years ago when we were doing all of this audit and looking at the services and how much we're charging and what we were doing, we learned about this deduct, and we've talked about this a lot at our board meetings. So there's a deduction, and these numbers are from the scenario of the 24-25 school year, right? So if we charge North Greenbush, $340,000 for services, and our state aid is $545,000. If we didn't transport, we would have gotten $772,000 and some change. So this is a loss for Wynantskill of over $200,000 for providing transportation to another school district. This has been a concern for us in the last few years. We've had several state ed conversations. We've had state aid planning. These recent numbers are from Mike Lawsett State Aid Planning. Because things are so tight for Wynantskill, it is hard for us to lose our own aid as we're providing a service for a district. And taking this loss has been what we're talking with North Greenbush now, with how is there a way that we can rectify this issue, that we don't lose so much of our own money, our own state aid, because we're doing a service for another district. So that's been an ongoing issue. We still don't have an answer for. We're looking at perhaps raising tuition on the tuition side of things to help recoup some of that loss that we've been taking. And again, this loss is not new. It's been probably for a very long time. It's just come to light in the last certainly few years of my superintendency here, and we are trying to look at that closely. Next slide. The electric bus mandate, I just put this in here in 23. Kyle Buying from Cornice Technology was here. They worked with us for a year. We had this blueprint done on what would it be. At the time, we had 20 buses to change the fleet over to electric buses. What could we do? Again, one of the biggest issues was we don't have our own land at to put the buses on. So how can we put so much money and infrastructure into someone else's land? It's been back and forth, and the state has never come up with a good answer for us. But what I want to just highlight here is we started this blueprint, and it's millions and millions of dollars. And I had Kyle Buying help us try to apply for anything out there for grants. Everything is need based. And unfortunately, Wynantskill looks like a wealthy district. And we were never able to kind of get any kind of inkling that we could get any money for any of the grants that were out there. So there's the bus mandate. We did our due diligence to start exploring it, but there really there's no kitty put away. There's no rainy day fund for this, and that will be a huge expense for Wynantskill. Next slide. I think that's it. Yeah, so that was just a little bit about an overview of transportation, a little bit of its history, and a lot of the issues that have happened in transportation and continue to happen. It's a great group of people. We try really hard, but it's a lot of work, and it is a big strain on our district, which was found in the optimization study and certainly will come to light in the feasibility study.
Dr. Yotis,
Food,
before you
yeah.
transition, can you just clarify when the transportation contract expires?
At the end of next year.
2026?
Yes.
Okay.
Not this coming year, 26, 27.
27. Okay. Thank you.
Food service, again, just a quick overview on food service. This is a real picture from the basement. It didn't have a year on it, but I assume it was 1969, 70, something close to it. There's a lot of people helping out in the kitchen, but that was a real Wynantskill photo. Again, from the history that we have, Wynantskill's run its own food service program. At some point, they did contract out with Chartwells or Advanced Meals, again, becoming once again independent in 2012 when I first got here. So Lori and Tina and Eric half-time. So we have 2.5 half-time employees who run our own food service program. Next slide. This, again, just to give you a little bit. So typically it's been self-sufficient. In the last couple of years, it's been between 50 and 60,000. The district had to offset from the budget, which we did not have in the budget. I think it is a lot of, as you'll see on the next slide, the salaries and benefits just, have been creeping up. And it's been, again, very difficult for Wynantskill to get any kind of grant opportunities. There's always things coming for the state. We apply to everything. Again, we have less and less free and reduced, which has always been under 20. And that makes it difficult to get any sort of grant money or any kind of assistance. This year, all meals are free, which is great, which we hope will have a positive impact to the budget because we'll get the reimbursement for the meals. So we hope that will help out a lot. But the last 2 years have been challenging, and we've had to go into the budget that we did not have. It was not budgeted to offset those costs. And the next slide. Again, here is just total cost, and you'll see salaries and benefits. Really what drove the stress to the system here. And the next slide. Is that my last slide, Kyle? I'm trying to think. Okay. I think that's it for me. That's it. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Carmelo.
Thank you very much. Great job, Mary. Great job, Bob. Um, um, Kyle, are you doing my presentation and slides as well? As we're getting those set up, I just want to also say thank you to everybody. It's great to see on my screen, there's 6 pages of participants out there, which is awesome. I wish we could have done it in person, but now that I'm seeing all the participants, it's probably better that it is virtual, right? So that more people can hear what's going on. What I'm going to do is a recap. And Bob gave a brief recap of what the committees have been talking about and the things that have been going on. I'm going to give a more detailed recap of the things that have been said and what got us here and where we're headed and things we've already talked about. But especially now with how many participants are on here, I think it's going to be a good summary, a good time to recap all the things. We'll also certainly be talking about school choice. We're talking about at the end specifically. I think the most community input so far has been on the school choice topic, and that's great. We've had hundreds of people sharing their opinions on the survey that was sent out by Mary and Kyle. The email that Bob and Brian, the consultants, managed, got several questions and comments on school choice. We've heard them, we've studied them, and we think we have a great solution to it, one that everybody will be happy with. There was, as I'm sure people on this meeting know, there was a little change of plans yesterday that, can't do anything about that at this point. I think it should be noted that school choice is not going away, that school choice is still going to be there. And we'll give you what we consider a reasonable, sustainable transition period for that. And I think, again, it'll be one that everybody is pleased with. I think everybody will be pleased with. The only difference now is that there's a district, Averill Park, that has taken themselves out of the school choice. So there was a lot of talk on social media today and yesterday that somehow that we were being disingenuous in our presentations. I want to make it clear that we were never being disingenuous. We've always said that we would have the school option of school choice. We always said that these were yearly agreements. We always said that it would depend on our conversations with the other districts. Those conversations were going well. And then Averill Park decided on their own to pull their name out of the mix. So the other choices will still be there. Again, you'll see that at the end of this presentation, East Greenbush and Tamarack and all the Questar programs will still be choices. But again, the Averill Park School Board decided they did not want to be part of this partnership any longer. And that's something that they've done before in their history as well. They've come in and out of that partnership. So this is just another one of those times. So having given you that little preview, let's get to it. I did also want to say those old photos are great, Mary. I think what it shows when she's showing those photos of 1970, 1971, there's some great histories, some great traditions at Gardner-Dickinson and the Wynantskill School District. And you should know that all of those things are going to remain. We have great traditions and histories in our schools that have been around since the early 1900s as well. And the things that are going on at the Gardner-Dickinson School and have gone on, all of those traditions will be able to stay intact and remain. And we look forward to now being part of them. So let's get started on the recap. How did Wynantskill get here? So there was an optimization study done in 24-25, along with a 5-year financial outlook study. Rick Timms, who, if you know Rick Timms, if you know anything about educational finance, he is the expert in that. So they had, Bob and Brian doing the optimization study, two experienced former superintendents, experienced consultants have done this work many, many times, and Rick Timms doing the financial outlook. That optimization study made it clear that there's some real financial stressors in the Wynantskill School District, mainly due to declining enrollment and a few other things, state aid, of course, which affects all of us, and some other things. But that study made it clear that there was a real fiscal problem at Wynantskill, and suggested at the end of that study that they explore this feasibility study with the Troy School District, and we were certainly excited to welcome that study. Every school district has two sources of revenue, all right, tax levies and foundation aid. Those numbers on that slide are Wynantskill's from last year, $115,000 in a tax levy and a little under $40,000 in their foundation aid from New York State. So that is $150 some odd thousand. That's the revenue coming in, right? Next slide, please, Kyle. That's just the expenses from teachers, right? Teacher salary, teacher benefits, staff, not just teachers, excuse me, teachers and staff, personnel costs. So salary, benefits, retirement, just that is $375,000. So if you go back to the last, but you don't have to go back, but going back to what we just talked about 150 some odd thousand coming in as a revenue, and just the expenses for personnel in Wynantskill is $375,000. You can see right there, without doing a lot of math, that's a hole that's happening every single year. I made the analogy at one of the earlier forums. It'd be like paying your car payment and mortgage payments and not having the income coming in to cover those two payments. And so you're going into your savings account every month to pay those monthly payments. It's not a sustainable plan. It's not a sustainable practice. So it ends up you using up your savings account. That's exactly what Mary and the school board at Wynantskill have had to do. They've had to make difficult decisions. They've had to cut. I think she called it bare bones at one of the community meetings. If you're using $200 some odd thousand or more, last year they ended up using $600,000 to cover expenses that are happening every year. That's a recipe for disaster, and that's what's looming ahead, and that's why we are in this spot that we're in. Next slide, please, Kyle. That's the school choice slide that we showed earlier. The main reason to show that again is just to show the total cost, right? We're talking about a district that's having financial difficulties, having financial trouble, and $1.6 million a year is going out because of school choice. Troy School District, proud to say, is our tuition is much lower than the others. That's a choice that we made. We've always kept it in the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 range. We love the partnership with the Wynantskill School District, and we want those students in our schools. So we've always kept that tuition low. Just switching all of those schools to Troy saves the Wynantskill District about $700,000, almost $800,000. So I think Mary's made it clear, and it'll be on an upcoming slide. One of the ways to balance that budget, if this vote doesn't go through, would be to end choice anyway. That's not my decision. That would be, Superintendent Yotis and the school board at Wynantskill almost having to make that decision. And that's been said multiple times. And I think it's something that they won't have any choice but to do. Next slide, please. This was also a slide from a previous forum. This was our tax forum, right? So again, talking about the deficit between the revenues that are coming in from taxes and the state and the expenses that a district like Wynantskill has. These are the options that are going out there, right? If you stay near the tax cap, and which is, we're just estimating it's usually around 2% tax increase. If you stay within that, they have to continue to use $600,000 in reserves. All of those reserves will be gone within 24 months. So like I just said, that means a quick phase out of high school choice. They have to save money somewhere, and then reducing staffing and programming. Those people that are Wynantskill people, staff or community members, students, parents, there's not much more places for that for cuts to happen. Right. So that's eliminating most of those things that are on that list right there, which is a total shame. And you end up worse than bare bones at that point. There's also a choice, and we talked about this a lot at the tax impact community forum. You could increase taxes by about 6.4%. Everyone knows there's a 2% tax cap. It's not always 2%, but it's around there, and it's each district has their own calculation that they use. But 6.4% would certainly be over that cap, which would require a 60% majority vote. You still would have to use the $600,000 each year in the reserves and use up all your savings accounts. But what that does is it buys you a couple years. So now you have 4 years before you run out of reserves. School districts really can't run out of reserves. I mean, you put yourself, Mary just talked about a student that needed special transport that costs over $100,000. You run out of reserves and something like that happens, you're in trouble. It also still means quickly reducing those programming and staffs, things we don't want to see happen in the Wynantskill district. The other choice is what we're talking about right here, what this feasibility study is about, which is why the optimization study recommend looking into this. And that's a consolidation with Troy. The consolidation with Troy, the reason why all the things that we're going to talk about from here on out are possible is because the incentive aid from the state is $240 million over 14 years. That is game-changing money. It's game-changing money for the Wynantskill district. It'll certainly also help the Troy district, but I said it at another previous forum, we're in good financial place in Troy, and I'm proud to say that. We're conservative. We have great programs, but we don't need this consolidation. We want it. We love the partnership with the Wynantskill district. We love when the Gardner Dickinson students come to Troy High. We love the merger in the sports and the activities and clubs that's already happened at our middle school. And we want this partnership to continue. The money that we're going to get is going to help us do all the things that the optimization study feedback from the stakeholders in Wynantskill said that they wanted, which was keep the building open, keep it K-8, make tons of improvements there in the facilities and the security and the technology that's offered there, and increase the staff and programming and supports and all the things that we offer in Troy and bring them over to Gardner Dickinson. And we'll talk about those specifically, but things like after school programs and instructional coaches in the classroom and just great things that you're going to hear about shortly. There'll be no reduction in staffing levels. In fact, like I said, there'll be additional supports programs and staff that are offered, and a transition period for school choice, which we'll get to at the very end. So those are the three choices, really. In our tax impact community meeting, people made it clear that they were not pleased with a 6% tax increase. That's not 1 year. That'll be consecutive 4, 5, 6 years. That tax increase would have to happen. And again, that still only buys you a couple of years. I guess I missed on the consolidation of Troy. I should have said the first two bullets. We're talking about a 5% reduction in taxes for everybody that first year, and then a guarantee of no increase the following 4 years. So we're talking about long-term stability for the districts financially and all the taxpayers, understanding that they can look ahead 6 years from now and know their taxes are going to be lower in 6 years than they are currently right now. Okay, Kyle, thank you. Thought it was important. Bob mentioned it at the beginning. Thought it was important to keep it in here more. This is just our last 10 years to show that we do this, right? We're not just talking about 5% reduction first year and 0% for 4 years without having some history to back that up. Those are our actual last 10-year tax levy increases, right? In those 10 years, the total increase was 7% with 5 zeros in there. And the highest that it was 199, a couple of 0.5%, some 1%. We are really, really careful to be great stewards of the taxpayer money. We always keep them in mind when we're making our budget decisions. And again, we do it at the same time being educationally sound and getting our students everything they need to be successful. It's a balancing act, but we think we do that as well as anybody. And we're really, really proud of the right side of that screen right there, where 10 years, that's 10 years is a long time. And to have that fiscal soundness right there for those 10 years and having 7% total increase, we're really, really proud of that. That's just a repeat of that third option there, a 5% reduction in taxes first year, 0% after that for 4 years. There was talk what happens in year 6. Does it balloon up? That 10-year plan that you just saw should show that we don't do that. We don't put ourselves in positions where we have to make up and then all of a sudden give a 10% increase because we had zeros. We think probably year 6, year 7 can still be relatively flat, close to zero. We just didn't want to promise something that we couldn't deliver. So we stopped at 5-year plan, but we really feel like with the money that we're going to get in incentive aid, that tax plan will continue with very low increases, if at all, in those 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Again, Gardner-Dickinson will remain open, remain a K-8 building with increased staff and programs. This is a breakdown of the two differences in tax rates, right? So if you have to do this, if this vote goes down and the Wynantskill School Board will have to put a budget together, which will, like we talked about, have a 6%, 6.4% tax increase. There's the difference. Over that 5-year plan, it's a $6,000 difference for the average taxpayer in Wynantskill. That's real money. That's big money. In year 5 alone, that's $1,800 difference between being part of this merger and not being part of that merger, right? And that, you see those lines, they're just getting further and further apart. So that 1,800 will continue to grow. So we're talking about, again, the average homeowner, the average taxpayer, $6,000 savings by saying yes to this merger. That's the Troy savings piece. A little less because our taxes are a little bit lower and our rates don't go to 6.4% ever. Yeah, we assumed a 2% tax increase, even though that would be the highest that we've gone. And so our Troy taxpayer savings 5 years would be a little under $1,600. Still good money, still real, for an annual savings once we hit 31, 32 of a little over $400. That's a little bit hard to read for you, probably. Sorry about that. But that's the timeline of the things we've done. So we're right now finishing November into December. I think the snow is proof of that. But the petition process started last week or a week before and will continue into December. Thank you to those many people already signing that petition. The state requires some level of community support to be shown before the next step can happen. And so that's the petition process. So both communities right now have petitions out there for you to sign. At that point, you're signing that you support the merger, but the official vote will be in March, as you see there. Right now, we're looking at March 31st. It won't give a lot of time to Dr. Yotis and the school board, but they'll have to really put 2 budgets together this budget development season. One budget that if the vote goes down, what 6.4% will look like and what will have to be cut. And one if this merger vote goes through, and then there's no problem using a bunch of reserves and not worrying about the future financially because the incentive aid will kick in the following year. So before that happens, the consultants, we have a couple more meetings coming up, and then the consultants will study all that's happened at all the community meetings, all the input we've got, all the questions we've got, all the data. They had piles and piles and piles of our contracts and our reports and our data. And so they'll be doing all that, and they'll send a report to both Dr. Cruz of Questar 3 BOCES as well as the State Education Department and the Commissioner, and that'll all happen in January. Quick update of Mary did a great job talking about her transportation, food service, and the like. So I'd like to just go through that quickly as well. So we've had meetings with all of the staff that Mary showed and talked about. Great people. We had a great meeting. We have a meeting scheduled with Yankee Trails to review that current contract, to see their facility. That's coming up this week. We currently don't own our own buses and don't have our own driver employees or even any transportation employees other than our coordinator and director. We contract with Durham, with CDTA, and with Star and Strand. They all do a little bit different things. Durham is our really K-8. CDTA is for our high school mainly, and Star and Strand is mainly for some of our special education runs. As Mary said, Wynantskill currently has their own buses, their own drivers, and their own staff. And the plan, I think we've been pretty good about this for all the different departments, but this one is another one. The plan is to continue with both, right? We're not looking to change something that's working, right? We're not looking to do a big upheaval on people's lives and people's jobs. So right now we're going to continue with both systems. So the current Wynantskill transportation staff that Mary just displayed in her slides, they will all remain. The transportation services at Gardner-Dickinson will continue as is. There will be efficiencies, not just the state aid that Mary talked about, but we go to some of those same, most of those same schools, those out-of-district runs that Mary put up there. So we will have some efficiencies by combining some of those runs. But the bus runs and the drivers that are currently taking the Gardner-Dickinson kids to school at GD, those will all stay intact and all remain the way they are. And so we'll run both systems at the same time. Actually, it'll give us the best of both worlds. Food service. So we met with food service staff as well. My assistant superintendent for business, Mr. Hoteling, met with them yesterday. Really good meeting. We currently contract that out as well. We use Cap Region BOCES, who does a great job with their food service program. We're really, really pleased. I think it's been about 5 years we've moved to them, and really, feedback is fantastic. Wynantskill, as we said, run their own food service program with their own employees. The plan for this one is to incorporate the Wynantskill food service staff and program into the BOCES program. We're not allowed to run two separate programs, but we will keep the staff in place that are there. Everything will look the same to the people that are there, but they'll be running it through our Cap Region BOCES program. The other thing I thought this meeting has and thought was important was the governance and policy. So a big part of a school district, excuse me, not just Troy, any school district, is governance, right? Where the board members look like, or board meetings look like, how many board members, that kind of thing, and the policies. So there's a slide that kind of breaks it all down. Both districts, all their board meetings are open to the public, provide an opportunity for input on agenda and non-agenda items. We have 9 board members in Troy. Wynantskill has 5. We meet in Troy twice per month. Wynantskill meets once per month. Agendas are always posted on the district website for both districts prior to meetings. Our board policies are found on both districts' websites. And I think the big one about policy is the last bullet there. We both utilize the New York State School Boards Association policy services. So what that means is they give you sample policies. Each district tweaks them a little bit to match their districts. But what that says is our policies in our districts, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of policies, and that'll be part of, if this vote does go through, that year plus of planning that will happen before the actual merger takes place. But those policies are going to be very, very similar, if not exactly the same, because we're both using the same School Boards Association services. What happens after the reorganization? Well, beginning July 1st, 2027, again, we have a whole year plus to work all the things out for all the different aspects, but all governance and policy at that point will fall under the Troy School District. We're seeking guidance from the state right now. We've asked, we haven't gotten the answer yet. When do the Wynantskill voters, assuming the vote goes through, when do the Wynantskill voters get to vote on the school budget? Is that the spring before July 1st, 2027, or is it the following spring? And when can the Wynantskill people run for open board seats in Troy? And again, we don't know if that's the spring before 2027, understanding that it'll be one district starting in July, or is it the following spring once we're already one district? We don't know the answer to that, but we have asked, and we'll certainly share the answer once we get it. And then just to continue the partnership, if this goes through, we would love for a Board of Ed member from Wynantskill to become part of our Citizens Advisory Committee. We have a Citizens Advisory Committee, anywhere from 2 to 3 to 5 extra people that sit at our table during budget development process, and sometimes involved in other kinds of committees and questions and other processes. So we would be out trying to get one of the board members from Wynantskill to be part of that Citizens Advisory Committee to start that process of kind of merging the two groups. Instructional programming. So this is one really excited to share with everybody. We always start our mission with our mission statement. That's the Troy City School District provide a strong educational and social foundation to graduate all our students college and career ready. That's what we base all our decisions on. That's what we're trying to do every single day. When we're developing our budget, we're trying to do that. Certainly when we're talking about this merger and all the things that we want to happen, we're always talking about what do we need to make sure we're trying to graduate all our students college and career ready, every single one of them. We're proud of our achievements. There's so many things to be proud of. I put a few on this slide. Over the last 5 years, our graduation rate has ranged from mid-80s up to 90%. We think this year will be 90 again. Our graduates every year receive over $300,000 in scholarships. Those aren't scholarships from schools. Those are actual scholarships of extra money that our kids are getting from different organizations and different foundations. Really, really great night. We have a class night in May, about a month before graduation, and kids go up across the stage and get their awards, and literally over $300,000 every year we give away. Sustained significant increase over the last 10 years on all our 3 through 8 assessments. We're really proud of the work our students and our staff are doing as far as the state assessments go. We have a really extensive advanced placement in college and high school program, one that I would match against any high school in the area. Last year's graduates, 1-year graduates, that's it. Last year alone, almost 2,300 college credits by the class of 2025. Really proud of that. Our Troy High Masterminds team, if you don't know what a Masterminds team is, it's like, I might be dating myself, but it's like the old Answers Please. It's a quiz bowl kind of team. Where they answer trivia questions and there's speed involved. We were undefeated 2 or 3 years in a row, went to the Nationals every year since 2018. That's down in Atlanta, Georgia. A group of kids go down there and compete. Really, really great Masterminds team, and it's really awesome watching them play. Our School 18 Odyssey of the Mind team qualified for the World Finals. They had a group of elementary students and their parents and their coaches go to Michigan that weekend and compete in that Odyssey of the Mind. And every one of our elementary schools has an Odyssey of the Mind team, and our middle school and high school. And they compete and qualify for the regionals just about every year. We have a high-performing athletics program. Our football team just made it to the Section 2 Class A Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. Our girls volleyball team was undefeated this year. Really proud of our girls flag football team. We were the first team in Section 2 to have a girls football team. That first year was a little bit tough. We had to travel downstate to Long Island and across to Rochester and the like because there were no teams around here, but really proud of our school board and our district to take that on and jump in and be the first team with a flag football team. We have a Troy High golfer. who will go to the state tournament this year in June, and a varsity swimmer, girls varsity swimmer, who qualified for the state championship meet this year as well. Really comprehensive music and performing arts program that we're proud of. There's plays and musicals both at the middle school and high school levels. Band, orchestra, and choral groups that win awards and do great jobs and things that we're super, super proud of. They're at the Victorian Stroll. They're at Troy Night Out a lot. The Joe for the baseball games. They're in the community performing all the time, and we're really super proud of them. Art programs and opportunities. Our student artwork has been selected to be showcased all throughout the city and state regional art exhibits. We have some really talented artists in Troy, and we're really proud of them, and a wide selection of art classes offered, including 3 that can lead to college credit in art. And really strong partnerships with community organizations and local unions that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So what are the supports and programs that drive those achievements? We have a lot of things we can offer and do offer. And these are the things that I've been talking about a little bit as we've gone to these meetings. We have instructional coaches, 2 in every elementary school and 3 at Troy Middle School. These are teachers in our district who are on special assignment, who get extra training and extra professional development, and then can help our classroom teachers, being right in the classroom with them, helping them with their data analysis, helping them with their lesson planning, going right in the classroom and helping teach students and modeling the instruction. We have 2 in every single elementary school and 3 in Troy Middle School. It's been really impactful, helping us improve our instruction and improve student achievement. We have a full-time math curriculum leader and a full-time ELA curriculum leader. Same kind of thing. Those are Troy teachers who are on special assignment and don't have classroom, but they can focus on the math curriculum and instruction and the ELA curriculum and instruction, again, and help our teachers get better at their craft. We also have curriculum leaders in all those other subjects, but those aren't full-time. Those are teachers that have a little lower reduced caseload, which allows them to do some of that work in addition to teaching. Really proud of our embedded professional development support that we get through Questar 3 BOCES and some other agencies. We get it in ELA, math, social studies, and science. We have 4-year curriculum review cycles. We have professional development days where our teachers are leading those classes and those trainings to help our other teachers get better. Our social emotional learning, every single school in Troy has at least 1 counselor, 1 social worker, and 1 school psychologist. That really blew up after COVID. There was a lot of social emotional needs that every district was facing, and our board supported making sure that we're giving the kids and the staff what they needed to be successful and what they needed in that realm of social emotional learning and mental health. We have 2 full-time district-wide technology coaches. Again, 2 teachers on special assignment that go around trying to help our teachers do better use of technology. There's so much great technology out there, virtual field trips and other things that these technology coaches help our teachers get better at, and always so that the students benefit, right? So the technology that's available in Troy is second to none, and our students certainly benefit from all of it. We have a building tech liaison. So the technology coaches are full-time people. That's all they do. And then there's a technology liaison in each building who's, again, a teacher who as an extra duty is also the technology liaison to help with some of that coordination. We have attendance improvement specialists in every single building. Those are people that help our students who are struggling to get to school, try to figure out what the barriers are, try to make sure we can help them improve their attendance, meet with the families, meet with the students, be in a little bit of a mentor role to help students improve their attendance, because we all know if they're not there, they can't learn and do their best. So we have 1 in each school. We have 2 schools that split 1, but every school has an attendance improvement specialist at some degree. Our elementary class sizes are super small, in the 16, 17 range. And a lot of those, you'll see the next bullet, have co-teachers, which means they have 2 certified teachers in the same classroom. That was also a COVID decision that we made to help with the learning loss that happened through because of COVID. And kids being home and trying to learn home virtually, halftime, and all the things that happened during that time. I don't think anybody wants to go back and remember any of that. But we used some money that we had then for the co-teacher model. So it meant, again, 2 certified teachers, not a co-teacher model, regular ed, special ed, which we do have as well, but 2 certified 3rd grade teachers in that classroom of 16 kids. Think about the added attention and the added support that those students will get having 2 teachers there. We've kept that in some of our classrooms even after COVID because it was so impactful. I think we've talked about one of the things we would do with this huge money that we would get in both Wynantskill, Gardner Dickinson School, and our schools is to bring that co-teach model back to some degree because it really, really did work and was really impactful. After school programs at the elementary and middle school level, I'll get to that more specifically in a little bit. Stronger Connections mentor program in every school. So students have a mentor who has about 5 or 6 kids that they see at least 20 or 30 minutes a week, help them with homework, just talk to them, be a mentor in school for them. We know how important that can be for students to have connections and relationships with adults. So we have that going on in every single school in our district, and that would be something, again, that Gardner Dickinson would get as well. College and career exploration, certainly at the high school level, but a few years back, we started doing it at the kindergarten level. There's something called Jobs in Paw Land, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But it's a test that even the younger kids can take to see what career they might be good at based on their skills and strengths and likes from school. And it's a great way to get kids thinking about college and careers at an early age. The research is clear that helps them be successful. And then we have universal pre-K programs, 3 and 4-year-old programs. Really proud of those. There's a lot there. Troy High School. Again, I said our college and high school program, as good as any high school in the area. We have 27 courses that lead to college credit. 20 are Hudson Valley or SUNY courses, 7 are advanced placement courses, and we're always looking to get better. We're looking at 3 additional Hudson Valley courses for the next school year. There they are right there, forensics, college algebra, and English 101. We're also looking at another AP class in business. We have a really great business program right now, and we thought that was the next step to add an AP class there. We get all 4 of those, we'd be up to 31 courses that have college credits. And I told you that led to about 2,300 college credits just for last year's graduating class. Those of you parents who have put kids through college, you know what that can do for you and for them if they already have 25 or 30 credits going into college. We've had a lot of kids graduate early, start their master program early, all of those things. We just started recently our Project Lead the Way, which is an engineering, architectural design, those kinds of things. Really great program at our high school. And that one, you can earn 3 college credits from Rochester Institute of Technology. We have a career discovery exploration internship program where juniors and seniors at Troy High get partnered up with local businesses. And it's really been great. Student interns, after hours, they go and work at the hospital or work in a law firm or work in an accounting firm or a physical therapy office. We have relationships with a lot of different businesses, and the hands-on real world experience is really, really beneficial for the students. And they also can earn some college credits through SUNY Adirondack. And then all the Questar programs, we have New Visions, as well as the Smart Scholars and some other ones. Culinary, automotive arts, cosmetology, criminal justice. You can read those there. Really proud of all of you see the diversity of the programs we offer on that page alone. Really, really proud of Troy High School and our all the programs we offer K through 12. There's the Smart Scholars one. 25 students in each cohort. They can earn college credits right through that program. It's in computer science, environmental science, criminal justice, and health service. We have a great partnership with Regeneron. Regeneron, I think many of you know, a great company, big employer. They come to our high school every week. We have students that go on site there, get tours of Regeneron, really do some work hands-on with Regeneron, and a lot of them are offered internships and entry-level positions as soon as they're done. Really great partnership that will be continuing. We have also some fairly new partnerships with the laborers local, so that's laborers, carpenters, welders, that kind of thing. And they come regularly to Troy High School, and there's some students that are working on internships and possible apprenticeships through those partnerships. And then same with I just mentioned with the college credits, a lot of partnerships with our colleges, not just through college credits, but a lot of partnerships where they come on site, help with tutoring and help with other things. That's RPI, Siena, Sage, SUNY Albany, and of course, Hudson Valley. And then our tech wing, which I talked about at a previous meeting, we're having a brand new state-of-the-art tech wing being built. If you've been by Troy High School and you're facing Troy High School, right to the right, there's a brand new building going up, going to be state-of-the-art, 21st century learning, all updated technologies in there. All those things that we just talked about that are available will be taken up a notch, taken up a level in this new tech wing that we're excited. That'll be opening September 26th, next September. I already talked about the instructional technology, but thought it was worth having a slide by itself. 2 technology coaches that I mentioned, the building tech liaisons, one-to-one student Chromebooks, classroom technologies, right? Smart boards on steroids called ViewSonic boards in every classroom, helps with help the teacher really get the content across to students in an interesting and exciting way, and a wide array of instructional software that we have available to all our staff. A comprehensive continuum of special education services. Again, full range of programs and classes, the social emotional development learning I talked about. Second step, which is a social emotional learning curriculum, that's kindergarten through grade 8. Questar 3 supports us in our special education stuff as well. There are specialized consultants that come on for trauma-informed instruction, student behavioral support. And then every building, as I said, there's the breakdown. A counselor, a psychologist, and sometimes multiple social workers in each building. Really have a great staff that helps students with their social emotional learning and any mental health issues that might be happening. All our extracurricular clubs, activities, and sports at the elementary level. It's Monday through Friday. I've talked about it a few times. It's about 4 or 5 bullets down there. We offer soccer, karate, flag football, lacrosse, and basketball. 5 sports, 5 days a week. Every single day of the week, there's something going on. That's in addition to all of our academic things that can happen after school with some extra help and some tutoring, and a variety of other clubs. You see them there: drama, dance, art, etc. At the middle school, it's Monday through Thursday. Again, some of the same things: karate classes and some the clubs that are there. Academic help always. They have baking classes after school at the middle school, which kids really love. Music lessons, a wellness program that's really popular. And actually, with our merger in sports and clubs this year, some of the Gardner Dickinson kids are already involved in some of those, including the fall musical, the wellness program, of course, our sports program, ski club, and the like. Troy High School, also a lot of clubs. And again, as I said before, always trying to get better. So 4 clubs were added this year, all based on student feedback. So we've had, clubs and activities all along. Students were asking for the Olympics of Visual Arts to take their art programming and art things up to another level. K-pop, Magic the Gathering, that's a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing. A walking club, which is really a mentor type club. And they added an international club this year, and they're planning 2 trips. This year they're going to France and Italy. Next year to Germany. 24 sports teams that we talked about before, in a fall and spring musical, fall play and spring musical. Whew, that was a lot, but it was things I've been wanting to share. We're really, really proud of our district, really proud of all the things we offer. We provide this vast and comprehensive list of programs and supports to help all our students reach their full potential and achieve success. Anything our students need, we feel like we have it, and we give it to them. If the reorganization occurs, we'll be able to provide all these types of supports and programs and much, much more.
So, John,
Garner Dickinson, yeah.
So, sorry, nope, go ahead.
Garner Dickinson, what will they receive? And that they can receive all of those things, as we move along. But right away, we would talk about the same Monday through Friday after school programming, right? The athletic things that we have, that's soccer, flag football, lacrosse, basketball, and karate. The co-teaching model that I described, that's so impactful to have 2 certified teachers. Not just great for the students, great for those teachers. We've had a couple of different setups for that. We've had some where it's a veteran teacher and a brand new teacher, and they work together great. And then we've had a couple where it's 2 brand new teachers sharing ideas with each other. Both models work really well. We would be interested in bringing that to Garner Dickinson School right away. Instructional coaches, those would be Garner Dickinson teachers right now. We pulled out on special assignment to help the other teachers. Tech liaison right at Garner Dickinson. The professional development that we offer. We're already talking about sharing some professional development this spring at our PD day, and having the Garner Dickinson teachers and staff come over and be part of that. The small class sizes. At one of the meetings I had with the Garner Dickinson staff, they talked about some high class sizes at the lower levels. That week that they were telling me, we had the same thing happen in one of our schools at the kindergarten level, and our board of ed agreed right there to open a new section so that we could lower those class sizes back down to where we want them. Those are the kinds of things where we have the extra money that we can do. So any class sizes that are in the higher range, we could take care of those right away. Additional staffing, I didn't even mention before. We have at every elementary school, we have 2 security monitors, one at the door and one throughout the hallway, and some administrative support. We have something called principal's assistants, who are just a support administrator for the principal, so that the principal can focus mainly on instructional leadership. Those things will be added to Garner Dickinson almost immediately or immediately. And then pre-K expansion. I know you have a pre-K program, but we could offer our 3-year-old and our 4-year-old to help expand your program a little bit. So Garner Dickinson would get that stuff first year going, after some planning of that during that planning year. Is that it, Kyle? School choice. No, it's not it. So this is the big one, right? We value the community's input. I said early on, the thing we got most input on was school choice. So I said right away, that students currently enrolled in high school will be able to continue with their programs through graduation. Certainly weren't interested in making any students leave their high school and change. We're committed to preserving the options that are important to the GD community. We have been committed to doing that all along. I mentioned earlier that one of those options was pulled out, not by us, but by the district themselves. There's not much we can do about that other than just move on with the options we still have available. We think we've landed on more than a reasonable, practical, and sustainable transition solution. So there it is, in a little bit bolder. Every Garner Dickinson student that's currently enrolled in that school, right? Every single student, K through 8 in this school year, will retain school choice options through their high school graduations, right? That's 12 years from now. Every kindergarten on up will be able to, if they want to. We feel like with the slides that I just went through, that when time comes, those people are going to want to choose Troy High. But those options will be available for every single kid who's currently enrolled in the Gardner Dickinson school. The choices at this point, after yesterday, have been reduced to East Greenbush, Brunswick, and the Questar BOCES programs that are available and will be available in the future. The good thing about Questar 3 BOCES, they're always looking to expand their programs. So 12 years from now, who knows what those programs will look like, but we always make them available to our students. I should say, did we want Averill Park to be part of that list right there? Yeah, of course we did. We thought they would be, and we wanted them to be. They chose to not be, and so we'll move on with the options there. Again, every student, K-8, every student that's currently in that school, which was one of the highest or one of the longest range choices that we heard from people, but we thought it was the one to land on to make sure that we are making people happy. And we heard you, we valued your input, and this is where we landed, that every single one will have options through their high school graduation. There's the new flyer. The top of the flyer really is the same. The facilities was early on in this process. Bob went through that at the beginning of this meeting. The building will stay open. The building will stay K-8. The building aid ratio will be up to 98%. I don't know if I mentioned that again tonight, but 98% is almost free money. So we'll be able to make state-of-the-art building improvements, site work, athletic fields, security upgrades, anything that we think that building will need. We'll be able to do it at no cost to the taxpayers because we only have to pay 2 cents down every dollar, and we'll have a capital reserve or a transfer to capital that will be able to handle that portion of it. So all of the facilities work will be done at no cost to the taxpayers. The tax impact one, which I think is really powerful, and the feedback on that has been really great, as expected. A 5% reduction and then flat for 4 years after that. No reductions in staff. Operations pretty much left unchanged, except for now the bare bones can get some meat back on those bones, right? We can get the supports and programs and positions back that will be helpful to students, and add a whole bunch of additional things, many of which I just put on that slide a few slides back. And then the school choice is what I just said. Students currently enrolled in high school certainly will be able to stay in their high school through graduation. And now, finally, the answer on the bottom there is that every Gardner Dickinson student that's enrolled right now, K through 8, will have an option to attend their high school choices, reduced down at the East Greenbush, Brunswick, and Questar programs.
So, John, thank you. We do have a couple of questions. As that last slide comes up, allow you a chance to take a drink and take a breath. We appreciate that information. We do have a number of questions. A few of those questions are statements that bleed into other actual questions. So I'm going to do my best and ask Dr. Schmidt to provide a little technical backup just in case I misstate something. Several of the questions had previously been asked and answered in some way, shape, or form, but to be honest, we'll ask those questions again. And the first one is for Dr. Yodis regarding transportation for the North Greenbush students. And that you are paying approximately North Greenbush is paying Wynantskill approximately $342,000. But what is the actual district cost of transportation annually, ballpark? And then we can work to find out the actual cost. But do you have a ballpark estimate of annual transportation costs?
About 1.2 million, maybe a little bit more with, those things that come up, the extra 100, it might be 1.3 million, but usually between 1.1, 1.3.
And that is paid initially by the district, and then transportation aid is eventually recouped approximately 18 months later.
Yeah. between 67 and 70% transportation aid.
Okay. And Mr. Carmelo, and this may be a question for Mr. Hodeling, what is the Troy transportation aid ratio? If Wynantskill is approximately 70%, do you have a approximation of the Troy transportation aid?
Yeah, Mary actually had it on one of her slides. Our transportation is 90%.
Okay. Alrighty. The second question is for Mr. Carmelo. Will there be redistricting of Troy pre-K-8 students into Wynantskill, increasing class sizes?
Say that again, Bob.
Will there be a redistricting of Troy students pre-K-8 into Gardner Dickinson?
No, I've answered that at a few community meetings. There's no plan to do that at all. Our schools, we have our own neighborhood schools, and those families and students love their schools. There's no interest in doing any redistricting at all.
Okay. The next question I'll field because Mr. Carmelo addressed it. The question is, will Wynantskill residents be able to run for the school board? And the short answer is we're waiting for guidance from the state education department, not because Wynantskill residents are barred from running for the school board, but because of the estimate of when the commissioner could possibly order the consolidation. It would be July 1, 2028. So there would be a limbo budget from community approval to when the commissioner potentially orders this. We're seeking clarification if Wynantskill residents can be candidates for the board in May of 2027, just shortly before the July 1 potential order could. So we'll have more information from that when state ed weighs in on that. So stay tuned for that. The second question,
Bob,
Dr. Schmidt.
can I just add to that a second? Because we're unsure of that, that's why we want one of the board members to be on that Citizens Advisory Committee. So I thought it was important to say that again, right? So there will be some, whether they can run or not, we would like some representative at our table when we're making certainly our budgetary decisions.
Fantastic. The next question, perhaps Dr. Schmidt could weigh in, and then perhaps Mr. Carmelo or Dr. Yodis. How much money would Wynantskill get from the reorganization? $231 million. Would the Wynantskill schools get? Brian, do you want to start with that?
Yeah. Very simply, we are looking, and the purpose of this study is for the annexation of Wynantskill into the Troy City School District. And so the aid is for the district to support the incorporation of the students into Troy and to enhance both programs in Troy and in Wynantskill. And so I think the question comes with the premise that there was an opportunity to have a Wynantskill district being maintained and then a specific amount of money being sent to the Wynantskill district, which is not the case for the feasibility study. So again, coming back to this point, Wynantskill would become a part of the Troy City School District, and then that money would benefit all of the students in both districts.
Yes, that's absolutely true, Brian. Thank you for that. It was asked a couple of meetings ago, and I think the person at that meeting was talking about the capital project upgrades at the school, adding security, maybe doing the fields, get some technology there, all those kinds of things. Remember, those upgrades are a whole different set of money. That's in addition to the $241 million. So we don't have to take any of the $241 million to do any of that kind of thing. The slide before where I talked about what Gardner Dickinson School would get, I mean, we could add up all of that money, what that is, right? There's not going to be a set amount that Wynantskill gets. There's not a set amount right now in our regular budget that School 18 gets or that Troy Middle School gets. As Brian said, Wynantskill would just be part of the Troy School District at that point. We would make sure Gardner Dickinson School gets all of the programs and supports and staffing that we have in all of our other schools, which is that previous slide.
And there's I guess a secondary part to that question. Why is that more effective than considering an Averill Park merger for 75 million? And the short answer to that is it dates back to the optimization study where we reviewed Wynantskill's finances and the specifics of a potential reorganization that would be potentially or justified, supported by the feasibility work. And the short answer is it's 3 times more money, which means that there would be an additional pool of money allocated to programs, staffing, transportation, infrastructure, professional development, technology, as well as the additional reorganization, construction aid, as well as a significant impact on refinancing Wynantskill's existing capital debt, which is approximately $5 million. So for those financial reasons, the optimization study recommended initial pursuit with the Troy district, more available resources, a longstanding professional partnership, and a willingness to engage in a reorganization discussion. There's a few other questions. John, you mentioned it when talking about the incredible co-curricular offerings, pre-K-8 and middle school students. Would those programs be available at the Gardner Dickinson building?
I guess I'm not positive which ones you're talking about. So yes. So the after-school programs, the karate, soccer, lacrosse, girls flag foot, or not, excuse me, flag football, and I don't know which one I missed there, basketball. Those will all be at the Gardner Dickinson School. We partner with a group that does that for us, but we also have staff that our own staff that stays there to kind of make sure that things are run well. Those will all be part of it. Yes, all the clubs and activities, we can bring all those over to Gardner Dickinson School. If they're talking about the middle school sports, I mean, we already moved the Gardner Dickinson students over there. So at the middle school sports level, we will move the kids over. Now, if the fields get upgraded, we've already talked to our athletic director. Once we upgrade the facilities, we'd love to play in both spots and have both practices and games in both areas so that people, we make use of all of our facilities. But absolutely, those things will be happening at the Gardner Dickinson schools. Instructional coaches, technology liaisons, those will be Gardner Dickinson staff and teachers. We assume, if they're interested, having those positions and helping their own staff.
And John, seeing how you mentioned athletics, there was a question about sports. Can these funds be used to expand sports teams to avoid cuts?
That's an interesting one. The expanding sports teams is not always about money. It's sometimes about facility use and having enough, basketball, for instance. We have a lot of kids, even before this merger, a lot of kids try out for basketball, 60 or 70 at the middle school level. We've talked in the past about should we have more than one team. The problem is there's a girls team, there's a boys team, there's a ninth grade JV and varsity team, and there's only so much gym space. There's only so much field space for your soccer teams. So it's not always a money issue. It's not that we wouldn't be open to looking at it, but that sometimes is more than just money.
Okay. This one is for, I guess, initially Dr. Yodis. Why would Wynantskill continue to bust Little Red if it's financially hurting the district and not cost effective?
Well, it's a tricky question because we certainly value the partnership with Little Red and we rely on them heavily now because of our numbers and enrollment. So, we look at the revenue that we build with the tuition, but also if you look at like our building right now is 300 students, but 50 of them are Little Red. And so when we have one section of K and one section of 1 and one section of 2, we had 20 students in second grade last year. 10 kids came from Little Red, which is wonderful. And now they made a group of 30. Now we can have 2 classes of 15. We worry about, transportation is a strain. It's a strain financially. But if we pulled that, would we lose the tuition? That's been the discussion that we're having with them. And I would hate to lose those students because we depend on every number at such a spot. So it's a pretty
Thanks, Mary.
complex problem.
And the contract, as you stated, goes until the 27-28 school year.
Well,
26,
I'm
27
sorry,
school year.
that's the contract. That's the contract with Yankee Trails. The contract that we have currently with Little Red ends at the end of this year. Typically, we do a 1-year contract. We did a 3-year contract 3 years ago because of some increases we had and some different amounts since we did 3-year. That is up at the end of this school year. So that's what we're discussing right now. And again, with an annexation on the table, like, do we do one more year? Do we wait, see what Troy think, is there a different option? So a lot of
Super.
things up in the air, obviously.
John, a question for you. If a student starts at Troy High School and it is not a good fit, will they still have an option for school choice?
So a Gardner Dickinson student chooses Troy High, goes there, realizes it's not for them. Would those other choices, East Greenbush, Tamarack, and the Questar programs be available after that? Yes. I would say yes to that. The Questar programs usually have to apply and get into them at the start of the year, so that might have to be a year break, but the other districts certainly would be an option.
Okay, I'm looking at a few other questions here. Dr. Schmidt, I just want to make sure I'm not seeing any. A few popped in that looks like we already asked and answered. Let me just see here. Let me just review this question one moment. I guess this is a question that we may not know the answer to based on the recent communication. With AP pulling out as a high school choice option, will this apply to current 8th graders in GD, or are they still essentially grandfathered in? I would defer to the two
I
districts. I'm not sure.
I did ask that question, and if the annexation vote happens in March, April, they're shutting the door so that our 8th grade would not. There's no flex time. There's no transition period. Our current 8th graders would not be able to go to April Park. But again, very brief conversation yesterday.
And one of the things that I would point out in kind of a historical response to that question, and we've talked about this at several other sessions, that for approximately 80 years, Troy was the exclusive secondary choice for Wynantskill students. And then approximately during the superintendency of Will LaForester, there was an expansion of school choice to include several districts, including AP. And then several years later, that system reconsidered and withdrew consent for tuitioning and then re-engaged. The short answer from an outside consultant perspective is those are local decisions that are made by school boards. And at this point in time, both systems, all the systems have to honor the local education agency's decision and continue to work collaboratively across the district and region to provide opportunities for students that didn't exist 10 years ago. It might exist 20 years ago, but changed. It's a fluid, fluctuating system. But as we said in the optimization study, you have to have willing partners to engage in this type of consolidation work. And that's an evolving statement and situation that today seems pretty resolute that is not an option for existing 8th graders at this point.
Carmelo, there was a question about the expansion of Gardner Dickinson School into the east side of Troy. I believe this came up at one of our sessions as well. Would you like to reiterate your answer to that, please?
Yeah, that one comes up quite a bit. In fact, one of our PTA moms gave a very passionate answer to it, which was really well said. There's no plan for that. East Side is a School 16 community. They love their school. They're not interested in it. We are not interested, as I said a few minutes ago. We're not interested in changing any of our boundaries or doing any redistricting. The Gardner-Dickinson boundaries will be what it is now. Our School 16 boundaries will be what they are. Carroll Hill School will be theirs. Everybody will stay in their same communities as they are currently.
Thank you for reiterating that, Bob. I just want to give you a break. Go ahead.
Thanks. There's some additional questions coming in. Mary, are Little Red School District students impacted by this? I'm assuming with the regards to the ability to tuition into the Gardner-Dickinson campus. It isn't clear in the question.
There would be no impact to Little Red, in the conversation that we've had with Troy is that they welcome that tuition to keep the building fill. As John said, he's not looking to redistrict. He's looking to keep the Little Red students coming in to fill Gardner-Dickinson, and then hopefully that they all go to Troy with the GD kids.
The other is
but I think it should be noted the Little Red, they have their own school board. They're their own district, so they still have all the choices that they have, and they'll make their own 1 year agreements with people. So this really has nothing to do with them.
The other another question involves the tuition agreements. We've stated previously that all of the tuition agreements for school choice end in 2026. Mary, do you have an update on any conversations with regard to extending those tuition agreements, at least unofficially? I know they need to be renegotiated.
No, and typically they're done over the summer, the agreements. Again, I think there's a lot that we will have to discuss, and I think we are looking at to see, is there support for this vote? Is there going to be an annexation? And if there's not, then yeah, we're going to have to really look, because again, that slide that shows 1.6 million GD cannot sustain. So I guess if that's where that question's going, will we have to look, and are we honoring all 6 choices if this merger does not go through? Like, that's probably not going to happen, and the board will have to look closely at how we would phase out of high school choice if that's where that question's going.
Bob, if the question is referring to the other districts, Mary and I have both talked to those other superintendents, and they are I think I could categorize as excited and on board with continuing the partnerships.
Yes. East Greenbush and Brittenkill, yes, very much.
And there were several questions or statements really about why this recent development with one of the tuition partners evolved. And I think I would just safely say, to be diplomatic, we would refer you directly to that district Board of Education and superintendent.
I would agree with that answer. We can't control that at all. I think people were making comments that Mary and I should have known that. We've been in contact with all 3 school districts, and they made a decision that they thought was best for themselves.
Mary, there's one last question that I see, and I think we've covered roughly 35 questions or statements. Actually, I'm sorry, this may be for John. I apologize. How long will Troy continue to run 2 separate transportation departments, and will this have any impact on state aid? And then there's one other follow-up to that we'll start there.
Sure. It won't have any impact on state aid. You get your transportation aid back, whether you have your own fleet and your own drivers or you contract out. So the state aid piece wouldn't be really affected. How long will we run it? It will really depend on, what we've tried to do as we've talked to all the different staff groups is make sure that people are keeping their jobs, keeping their positions pretty much intact, right? And so next 2 years from now, if this goes through, that things look very similar at Gardner-Dickinson. So If I think what we would probably say is, how long does that take? I don't know how long it takes. As drivers decide to retire, as drivers leave for whatever reason, I think we will, which we do in our own school district as well, we would review each of those openings. Is that a run that we could now use Durham or one of our other partners for? As people leave, we won't replace them necessarily with a Gardner Dickinson employee anymore. And so through attrition, and does that happen in 5 years? Does that happen in 10 years? I can't answer that question, but I would tell you as people leave, we will be replacing them with our contractual services. Bob, can I ask? I thought maybe because the East Side question came up more than once at different forums. I think I should also state we just did a major capital project at School 16. Right, we're really proud of School 16. It's a real high achieving school. 70% some grade levels on the state assessments, really well above state average in all of their grade levels. We're not interested in upgrading that building and then having families move out of there. So maybe that emphasizes it a little bit that the answer is no to that.
Okay, kind of a long question that came in via email. So I'm trying to manage both systems. The question, if I understand it correctly, is a parent from Little Red has multiple children at multiple grade levels and would wish to enroll their middle school student in Troy Middle School. Is that impacted by this potential annexation? I guess that's a John question.
Yeah, it's a John question, except I have to look at the contract. I mean, I'm not opposed to that right now. I just have to see what that contract looks like. And then going forward, we'd have to have that discussion, whether that's something that we would look at. So I don't really want to, what I've tried to do at all these community forums is never commit to something that I can't do. And so I'm not opposed to it, but I would just have to look at the details and what that really means and look at the contract and talk it through before. So if that person, like you said before, Bob, can leave us their contact information or maybe email what's on the slide right now, and then we can get a specific answer back once I review it a little bit.
Yeah, and just a statement, just to clarify, even with the development today with Averill Park, parent feels strongly that all high school students should be able to remain where they were originally selected. And I believe Mr. Carmelo and the other superintendents have affirmed that that is still an option for students.
Yes.
Yeah, except for Averill Park, yeah.
Well, existing high school students.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
existing, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So, Bob, we had a number of statements, many anonymous, some that were named. And one name statement that we received is from Kaylin Mandalone, who is the president of the Wynantskill Teacher Association. And she states that we look forward to the opportunities that would come with this possible annexation by the Troy City School District. We believe it is the best way to improve programs for students and keep the Gardner Dickinson school we love. Your teachers have worked hard to build a welcoming and supportive school for our community. We hope to have the community support in the annexation vote. So we felt that was important to share as we shared all of the questions and the statements that have come forward from named people. We want to make sure we continue to do that.
Thank you. I just have a technical question for Jason and Kyle. Will we be able to have a record of the questions submitted via the Q&A document? I believe the answer is yes, but I just want to make sure that that's an accurate statement. Otherwise, I'll go back and before we close it out, write them all down, unless Brian has already done that.
That is actually probably a question for Jordan over at Questar 3. He is recording this, so I believe the Q&A will be included in that, the Q&A in the chat roll if there's anything in there. But that's probably something to confirm with Jordan.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, it should. The AI companion will also have a record of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both for all your
Um,
assistance with this.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jordan. Great job.
Yes, thank you. Just as a point of reminder, the consultants will be in district in Troy at the Board of Education meeting on December 17th, and again at the Wynantskill Board of Education meeting on December 18th. At that point in time, we will be providing some initial thoughts. At this point, this concludes our public engagement process. Again, any additional emails or communications can go to the email address Troy WUFSD feasibility@gmail.com. There are a few lengthy questions that were just submitted via email. We'll dissect those out and we'll respond to those individuals. Please look for an update to the frequently asked question document based on tonight's conversation. And as always, you can reach out to Dr. Schmidt or myself at the email address I just mentioned, or my phone number is 716-220-2815.
I just want to say
Thank you,
again,
everyone.
thank you to everybody for being on here. Having so many people involved and participating is really great to see. So thank you, everybody, for being on and staying on for almost 2 hours. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.